I was wrong in doing what I did.
No, no! No! Are you listening?
Sean here. Saw a great meme my son showed me on TikTok. It's one of those, they progressively get worse looking pictures. And it's got the army guy from Hansen vs. Predator sting. He's like the one right before the end, and it's his mugshot. Absolutely gross. The one who wanted the girl to come out and get in the car. It's good to see these guys getting their proper recognition. Absolutely astounding. Today, we continue with our cult series on what would get Lorne to leave a cult. We all know how hard it is for people to make a clean break from a cult without getting harassed, sued, having fake websites put up about you, fake news stories put out there, having other cult members try to get into the media to talk about how terrible you are. See, Lorne wouldn't care, even though that's why they come after you, if you go out and you speak publicly about them. It's just a disgusting practice by Scientology. It's all over the place, and I bring them up because they really are a group I hate, and that I can't understand how the government knows human trafficking, kidnapping, all of that stuff. People trying to leave Scientology, and they've got security guards chasing them down and forcing them to get back in the car, or putting them on the Sea Org ship, taking their visa and passport away so they can't escape, having people track them at train stations and airports. Lorne wouldn't be able to keep his mouth shut at all. He would be talking to anybody who'd listen, yeah, man, in this cult, and he'd reveal everything that they did, and he'd be bad-mouthing them. And the first hint that he was going to get some kind of media coverage, positive media coverage, he would be revealing all. And of course exaggerating and lying, because he's a pathological liar. Maybe the cult leader will call him and he'll go, well, you know, I did tell Tony, and I know Tony's passed on, but you know what I mean. I did tell Tony. Wendy said, Lorne would use Tony and Wendy, and he did, against Ramona. I cried over Tony and Wendy's tonight. Wendy said it was a two-way street. You didn't say hi to Tony and Wendy while I was over there. I mean, come on, man. He has nothing going on in his life. The biggest part of his day was waiting for her to text Tony and Wendy that she said hi. And this is important because we know him. He sat there waiting. Now, he didn't just sit there waiting. What he was doing was like, oh, she's probably busy. And they're like, oh, okay. Every 30 minutes. Well, she still hadn't responded, but she will. And then it just boiled over because he wanted so bad to prove he had a girlfriend. And I think that was part of it, was that it took her so long, and maybe they didn't get the text message that she said hi. Think about how sad that is, man. That you're at a party, and you're like, hold on, guys, I'm texting my internet girlfriend, my phone girlfriend. We're texting her, you guys said hi. You just watch. She'll text me back and say hi to you, too. I know Tony and Wendy weren't going, Lorne, did she say hi yet? We are really hurt. Lorne just wanted something, anything to feel important. He's watching Tony and Wendy interact as a couple, interact as partners. That need for acceptance that he has, the need to feel equal, the need to feel important. He wouldn't even see the fact that Tony was married and is getting sneers on the reg. He wouldn't see that as important because he probably feels like he and Ramona, they've got something special. They've got something real, and everyone else should be jealous of Lorne because his girlfriend really loves him. I was listening to the call last night on Cornville Three-Way Stream with Tiffany, who is just a hero and will remain a hero for having to deal with his rage, trying to help this guy. It just didn't work. She couldn't get through. During the Ramona period, no one could get through because he felt justified in all of his actions. All of that yelling and screaming, he couldn't focus on what he wanted. Some people blame it on the drinking, but you have to understand that an untreated bipolar person who has alcohol in their system or some kind of substance that impairs their thinking, it makes it even worse. The racing thoughts, they just go crazy, and you can tell his thoughts have been racing. One little thing, someone criticizes him in the cult, and at the beginning, Lorne will be like, no, well, ha. And then, when it's quiet, when he's out there digging that trench, he's going to think about it, and it's going to be ricocheting all over that empty head, to the point where he feels he has to confront them. And I've talked about this before, and I'm pretty sure you all understand that he doesn't know what the end game is, and he doesn't know what would resolve the situation. He doesn't know what kind of apology he wants, and no matter what kind of apology he gets, it won't be enough, because he doesn't understand. He doesn't know. He doesn't have any clue what it's going to make him not feel so angry, when in actuality, he's going to have to wait until that swing is gone, until he's no longer raging. And that could take a long time. It takes a long time for someone to get tired out, and for you to come down. I've had it happen to me before. When I was younger, when I was untreated, I couldn't figure out what was making me so angry, and I didn't know what would resolve it. And what would make it worse is if they gave one of those half apologies. I'm sorry you took it that way. Not, I'm sorry I made you so upset, just to appease somebody, just to have the situation over. If you have somebody that's bipolar, you're going to have to say, look, I apologize that I made you feel that way. Okay, so let's let it drop. You have to take my word for it. If you don't take my word for it, we can't have this conversation anymore. I had a situation recently where someone did something that really made me frustrated, and we had a conversation. And when that person said, I'm telling you the truth, I didn't mean to do that, I said, okay, you're my friend, I believe you. If you can't do that, if you can't accept someone's apology, they're not going to want to be around you. There's nothing worse than really apologizing to someone, opening up, telling them you're sorry, and them not accepting it. If he's trapped in a commune with these people, and you know how Lorne gets angry, he doesn't like to be criticized. He won't take any kind of encouragement to grow. He will not grow. He can never grow. And the bottom line is that's just going to set him off. He's not going to want to listen, but let's say part of that is they want to counsel you. In Scientology, they want to audit you. They want you to admit all of your sins, because that is what they are about. They want to hold something over you. They want you to admit everything that you've done, because they keep it. They want to use it against you. So if Lorne is confronted, if Lorne has to admit it, it's going to take a long time for a female to be able to pull it out of him. And like I said, they'll identify immediately that females are his weakness. So they'll have a counselor, a female counselor, which is what Scientology does sometimes when they're recruiting. They bring in young, beautiful people, and then the next time you go back, they bring out the Lornes. So for Lorne to admit what he did was wrong, for Lorne to say, you know what, I do need to grow, I don't think it's going to happen. And it's going to be a nightmare for them, because they need him to admit what he's done. They need something to hold over his head. And if they truly care about him, maybe they really do want him to grow. They really do want him to atone for his sins. Maybe. Bottom line is, Lorne's not going to admit it. He wouldn't even admit it to have a future with one of these women that he immediately says he loves. I love you, Casey. I love you for a long time. I know you said don't know, say you don't know. I know you say you don't understand it, but yeah, you. But I do, and that's all that matters. That's all that should matter. It's you that I want. You and Jamie were a throuple. I can't believe they got him to say it. Not even a trio. Just the genius of that. I mean, the most clever people are in this community. Anyway, they wouldn't be able to get him to admit it. They wouldn't be able to get him to say it. And I think they would get frustrated. And I think they may give up on Lorne. They may finally give up on him. Put yourself in these cult leaders' shoes and these cult members, and their job is to get the other members to admit their crimes, to say what they did, and you just can't pull it out of him. You have all the proof in the world. You're showing him the proof, and he's going to tell you I wasn't the same person back then. Because he wants to control the narrative, but in a cult, you can't control the narrative. They control the narrative. You're going to be who they want you to be, and there is nothing you can say to change that. The Ramona call in question is the one where he can't, you were up on the internet all goddamn night with who knows, with who knows who, and what about Emma? How did you get involved with Emma? How did you get so close to Emma? Doctor, internet, up all night, and anything else he can jump towards. He's so infuriating. No. We're going to go back to this. Some of these cults, they have rituals where they take substances that affect the mind. I don't think it's something as good as guided acid trips. I have a friend who did it, and he has mental health problems. Dude, he swears by it. He swears by it. And I've thought about trying it. I really have. But you have to find a state that's going to allow it. You have to find somebody that's going to do it. But imagine they gave him some kind of mind-altering substance. Something that's going to lower his inhibitions. If you put Lorne on Versed, right? Truth serum, because some of them do that because they want to get everything they can out of you. And the real you comes out, and you say things that you would never, ever say to anyone. Now, Versed isn't truth serum, but it has similar effects. And you can also go a little crazy, because Dubai people. So Lorne is now admitting he's under the spell, and he's like, yeah, I had a 13-year-old girlfriend. I really wish I had a little girl. I don't know how they'd handle it. I know, again, we talked about it in some cults, that you just kind of do what you want to do, and nobody else has a say about it, and nobody's going to put up a fight unless that girl is important to the cult leader, has special privileges. We know Lorne, you know what? I wouldn't even trust him around boys. I wouldn't, because he experimented, and he knows they would experiment. It's gross, but I'm just being honest. Being honest with you. Someone going up to Maine, putting this dude in a chair, reading the chat, playing back his voicemails, put him on Versed or something similar. Get out your video camera and start asking him questions. They're easily influenced, and that's another reason they take these substances, because they can guide you to what they want. If you're under the influence, they can just say, the cult is the best thing ever, Lorne. Are you having a good time? Yeah. And you just keep going. Because to be perfectly honest with you, because I'm being honest, I believe you, but I want you to tell me the truth. Lorne would be a very easy target. You put him on something like that. You just take him places. The only thing you could not do, obviously, is change who he is. You could not convince him. You couldn't get him not to be attracted to little girls. I have an experiment I'd also like to try, where Lorne finally loses his virginity to a woman his age. And let's see if he's still focused on young girls who are innocent, who are also virgins. Someone he could easily use, as we talked about, and they wouldn't know the standard. They wouldn't know whether or not it was bad. They would see him as experienced. So maybe, just maybe, that might change him a little bit. It's done it in the past during experiments, I guess, where they asked questions, set up scenarios. And what I mean is, they would have a good-looking female talk to the person, and they would ask them a question directly, like, who are you attracted to right now? Who do you feel attracted to? And they would say the woman, right? So there were theories that some of these guys, they're attracted to what they are around. And part of the problem with the whole probation and parole and not being able to go out places, they'll never understand what that is. And there are no women that are going to get with somebody like Lorne. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying part of the issue is you're taking away their access to real women. Now, they don't need it, in my opinion. I am looking at the other side right now and saying, hey, These guys need some kind of outlet, and if you take away the possibility of someone their age, a lot of them, they're just not going to deal with it. It's a shame, but not for Lorne. It's a badge of honor. NBC, Florida Justice, $8 billion an episode. Chris Hansen, all of that crap. He sees it as a badge of honor, I'm sure. Backing up, though, you'll never know if Lorne can get a real woman. I mean, look at how he focuses on these catfish women. But Tiffany said it correctly last night. The first time, I think Cornville did too, and I know the chat did. Man, they were on fire. But they said that if Lorne had a chance, another option, he would be on the phone with them all night, and Ramona would be the one bugging him if she called him one time. I wasn't doing anything, I was just hanging out, you're trying to sleep and you're calling me. You called me twice, you let it ring 5.5 times, because we know he counts the rings. So maybe, just maybe, Lorne getting in an all-adult environment, if the cult couldn't have kids, put Lorne in the Sea Org, where they're not allowed to have children, and anybody who gets pregnant, who chooses not to get an abortion, they get routed out and they owe a lot of money. Call it a freeloader tax. So maybe if there were no children, Lorne would be dangerous to women. But the way he thinks, he would say, see, I'm not attracted to children. Unless he started asking some of these cult women, you have kids? Yes, I have a daughter. She's 17. She's living with her dad. Oh, yeah? You got any pictures? True story. I was in the Marine Corps. Can't remember the guy's name. We were in medical rehabilitation platoon. I told you about how I got injured. We had a race. I won. I was cocky. The guides were all competing. It was a big deal. I got up to the top of the rope fastest after the competence course. And they were swinging the rope. I fell, landed on the knot of the rope, tore every freaking ligament in my ankle. I still got a bone chip there. But I was celebrating. So in order for me to heal, they had to put me in medical rehabilitation platoon. And I was there for 3 months. And then I told you I went to physical conditioning platoon, which was hell, because most of them were overweight and you had to run and do dips all the time. But that was okay. I got in shape. I'm making a point here. One of the guys had a topless picture of his girlfriend. And the Foot Lockers, some of them won't close all the way. So people would borrow the picture without his knowledge. And there are guys like that out there that would take the picture and use it. And he would take the mental image. He would take it and he would use it. I know he would. The questions would make them uncomfortable. All of this is stuff that might eventually get him kicked out of the organization. So he gets kicked out and he goes back to his trailer. I'm jumping forward here. After all of this behavior, he gets kicked out. He goes back to his trailer and he's telling anybody who will listen, if the cult got in the news, if there were any media articles, he would go into detail about the cult. He would tell anybody in the Kroger line, in Winn-Dixie, whatever they have up there, people at Walmart, people he thinks it's going to get him into their group. And we know Lorne, the way he talks to women and then tells the other women about the other women, he might join another cult, another group, and tell people about it. Christians, if you've ever gone to a church, they're fascinated because they are voluntarily there at church. Well, I'm talking about normal churches. They're voluntarily. And it's very interesting to me to ask people, how did you get into this cult? And they also ask, because they just don't understand, we're here voluntarily at church. I'm willing to give this church my money because I believe in it. They're not demanding it from me. You have to give mandatory tithes or something in these crazy cults. You have to follow their rules. Not the 10 Commandments, but the 7 rules that you have to stay in their church. Lorne would break every single rule in this new church or in this cult. He would be ostracized, kicked out. At least that's my opinion. After he got kicked out, that would be his new talking point, and he may even join it knowing that he's going to leave, so he'll have some stories to tell. He'd make it miserable, so then he could justify his pathetic existence. Frick pathetic. I just feel he would use it as a crutch. I think he would stay as long as it served his purpose. And if he could get out, if he was allowed to escape and they weren't out in the middle of nowhere, or they weren't, overseas, Lorne would get out. Lorne's a cockroach. Somehow he would survive with no money in a foreign country. I don't know how, but for some reason this guy is allowed to continue. Okay, enough rambling. Another part tomorrow. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, this